Hello and welcome to Top Deck, the series where we take a look at some of the leading TCG metagame deck lists for Yu-Gi-Oh! So today we have Jason Leong's third place deck list from the Carlisle Regional, which took place over the weekend. And this time we have Trickstar, so I don't think we've actually featured them on Top Deck yet, so this is pretty cool to see. So first of all, I'll take you guys through the deck list, and then we have the comments that Jason has sent in via Messenger. So we have triple Droll and Lock, triple Ghost Ogre, and triple Ghost Reaper. So the transition to 9 hand traps. This has been pretty much standard in Spiral format, although, typically these would be Ash instead. So I'm not sure that there's any major changes with respect to what we've seen before as far as that goes. Then triple Eater of Millions, triple Candina, the 1 Lilybell, and triple Licorice. So just being able to search this kind of makes it unnecessary to play multiple copies. Then triple Desires, triple Scapegoat, such a good card in the deck, triple Terraforming, and triple Light Stage, seeing Candina as early as possible is necessary. Then 1 Raigeki and 1 Dark Hole, just because there are so many boards that you either need to bait out at the moment, or you need to be able to push through, and Trickstar can struggle with that a little bit, so having these in is pretty good. Then 1 Judgment, triple Strike, and triple Reincarnation. For the extra, we have 2 Link Spiders, 1 Holy Angel, 1 Mrs. Radiant, 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Proxy, 1 Ningetsu, 1 Decode, 1 Borreload, 1 Sayuja, and 1 Firewall. Then we have the Cherries targets, so Totally Awesome, ABC, Seraphonite, which is pretty interesting because I don't think I've seen many people playing this as a Cherries target, but then it makes a lot of sense because as soon as you see the Brilliant Fusion, which sometimes even in so if you go up against Gemini FTK, they might have to make a normal summon, then use Left Arm Offering to get the Brilliant Fusion so they can start their combo. So if you just, if they play the Brilliant Fusion having normal summoned already, then you just drop the Cherries and banish this, and suddenly they can't OTK, FTK even. So they're really struggling against that, which is quite an interesting interaction, but otherwise, if you go up against 60-card mill decks, they generally have a couple of monsters on the field, especially if they've gone on, popped off with a Predaplant combo. So seeing this is, I think it's a really, really good idea, and definitely worth considering in the future. Then we have the 1 Electromite, obviously, because you have to beat the Pendulum matchup. For the side deck, triple Ash Blossom. So these will come in against decks where maybe Ghost Reaper wasn't as viable, or if there's something where you can just sort of end the turn with it, but obviously it's not that good against Pendulum Magician. Then triple Chaos Hunter, triple Cyclone, triple Mind Control is pretty interesting, and triple Evenly Matched. So I've got the comments from Jason here, so let's see what he said. He said it's a pretty standard list. The only real spice is the main deck's Reaper. He wanted 6 main deck answers to Electromite. So yeah, I assume that's just the Ghost Ogres because they lose the scales. They lose the linked zones even, and the Cherries are the main reasons for dealing with that, main ways to deal with it. Mind Control in the side was to help play through boards, so things like if your opponent has Biguski, you can take it, you can force a negation from a Vortex and stuff. But overall he said it was a little bit underwhelming, so he would reconsider it. His matchups were round 1, he beat ABC 2-0. Game 1 he went first, Reincarnation drolled him after he terraformed for Ravine. His opponent had set 2 back row, but they weren't real, so he just OTK'd with Holly, which is pretty cool. Game 2, he reapered his opponent's ABC and discarded Reincarnation for Chaos Hunter to OTK him, which is pretty cool. Round 2, Dark Magician 2-0'd him in about 10 minutes. He commented that it was his first tournament in a while, and he was a little bit confused by what his opponent's cards did. So I guess that's a little bit of an excuse why his opponent struggled there. Round 3, he beat Metal Foe's Draco 2-0. It was his friend who he travelled down with. He got a little unlucky and got 2-0'd. Don't remember too well what happened here. Round 4, Magician 2-1. Pretty back and forth. Game 3, he had double strike for the Electromite summon and his Pendulum summon. They went to time, and his opponent spent a long time trying to figure out his board before passing, but Jason was holding Raigeki, so that was pretty much enough. Round 5, Shadol Dino, he beat them 2-0. This was his first, against a friend who he travelled with, and it was a feature match, so not sure when it will be on YouTube, but hopefully we'll see that up soon. Game 1, he Droll and Reincarnationed him. Then his opponent reborned his card, Jason's Candina. and it was very back and forth as he couldn't out it, and his opponent couldn't attack over 1800 defense hand traps that he kept setting. So eventually Jason could make a Link monster. Game 2, his opponent's Chaos Hunted him, but Jason then Chaos Hunted his opponent back, so his opponent couldn't play the double Evo pill, and then he had Scapegoat and OTK'd him. Round 6, he went up against Magician and he went 1-2, so this is his loss. The final round versus his friend who he travelled with, which was also a feature match, won the die roll and draw reincarnationed his opponent after adding Dark One. Game 2, couldn't break through the board, and Game 3, his opening hand was Candina, Double Strike, Reincarnation, and Scapegoat. So after disrupting his opponent's turn and leaving him with only an Electromite, he tried to make a play with Skulldread to OTK. He drew 4 off Skulldread and opted to keep Raigeki rather than Solemn Judgment, because it seemed like he was going to need to push rather than drag out the game a little bit more. And that way he would be able to clear the Electromite and do enough damage in order to steal the game, but unfortunately his opponent had a Chronograph to block some of the damage, so he basically wrote out the win from there. In the future, if he tried to play it safer, he would have taken Judgment having this situation in mind. That way he would have been able to negate a Supreme King Starving Venom, and that way won the next turn. So a bit unfortunate in the last round, but overall very solid record. I then asked him a little bit about the deck, so specifically Chaos Hunter, which is a point that comes up in contention amongst my local group. He thinks that it's really good overall, because Trickstar has a bad matchup versus what Jason calls JY deck, obviously, so the 60 card mills, because it does so much, but cutting off their banishes is a pretty big deal. It's also pretty cool in the mirror to play Chaos Hunter, as it's a big body that cuts off Reincarnation. The discard can be relevant too, because twice he discarded Reincarnation, so that later on he will be able to push for game, which is pretty cool. And he just wants to make shout-outs to Duncan for helping talk him through the theory the night before and get him up to speed with the deck. So thanks Duncan for helping out. And thanks Jason for sending in your deck list. Great job at the Carlisle Regional, and good luck in future events. Thanks for watching this episode of Top Deck. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave them in the comment section down below. Check out the description for details of how you can get involved in this series. You can enter by voice interview, or instead you could just send all of your information over Facebook Messenger. Anything like that will be absolutely fine. If you want to see anything in particular from the upcoming series, then be sure to get in touch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.